Hey fellas, so section 2 here is about zero and negative exponents. Okay, we're going to continue on with the exponent stuff, mostly dealing with quotients and fractions and things like that. So the zero power is the easiest thing in the whole world. Okay, this should be free points all the time. Okay, if a to the zero power, anything to the zero power is going to be 1. Okay, except you can't do 0 to the 0, so a can't be 0. Right? So obviously you could do all these examples, and 5 to the 0 power is 1, and 2/3 to the 0 power is 1, and -1 to the 0 power is 1, and x to the 0 power is 1. Okay, so that should be it there. Now, negative powers. The way this works is, in order to get rid of a negative power, we can't really do anything with negative powers. In order to get rid of them, you're just going to flip them upside down. Basically, a to the negative n is just the reciprocal of a to the n. Okay, so you kind of look at this as a to the negative n over 1, and you're basically going to flip the fraction, move it to the other side of the fraction line. So 2 to the negative third power is going to be 1 over 2 to the third power, which is 1/8. Okay, so you keep the same number of power, you just drop the negative sign when you move it across the fraction line. Right, so for C, here we've got 2/3 to the negative second power. So we've got 2 to the negative second over 3 to the negative second. Okay, the reason I said you move it to the other side of the fraction line is because if you have a negative power in the denominator, you're just going to move it up to the numerator. Okay, so you're going to take the 2 to the negative second, move it down to the denominator, 3 to the negative second, move it up to the numerator. And we're going to get 3 squared over 2 squared, which is 9/4. And lastly, we've got 0 to the negative 7th power. Okay, so that's the same as 1 over 0 to the 7th power, and you cannot do 1 over 0, so that's going to be undefined. Okay, so just remember that if you have a 0 to the negative power, it's going to be undefined, not 0, because you can't have a 0 in the denominator. Alright, let's go to the examples. So we just have to simplify these fractions. Okay, once again, jump right into the first one here. First thing you want to do is move all the negative exponents to the other side of the fraction line. I think that's the easiest way to go. Okay, so we'll take this 6 to the -1, the x, the z, move them all to the opposite side of the fraction line. Turn them into positive exponents. So we're going to move the x to the -1 up, z to the -2 up, and these two are going to come down. Okay, so what we're going to have here is we're going to have x to the first, z squared, z cubed up on top, and 6 to the first, 5 to the 0, x to the squared on bottom. Now to simplify this, we've got 5 to the 0 power is 1, so you don't need that. 6 to the first power is 6. Okay, so now we have a 6 on bottom. Alright, now we just compare each of our variables. So we've got 2x's on bottom, 1 on top. When you cancel out, you're going to be left with 1 on bottom. And when you combine the z's up top, 2 plus 3 is 5. Just like that. Jumping into number 2 here. Alright, we're gonna multiply, right, these two monomials by each other. Alright, in this first one we need to move the m to the -2 down to the bottom. Make it 4 over m squared times n. Right, and the second one, since the whole thing is to the negative power, you're just going to flip the whole thing upside down. Okay, so that's going to be 3n squared over m cubed. Alright, now we can multiply straight across. We'll get 12n squared on top, and m to the 5th n on bottom. Okay, so we do our reducing. And when you cancel out 1m on top and bottom, you're left with 1n on top, 5m's on bottom, and we're all done. Number 3 here. Number 3, if we do a power to a power, once again, well, first you need to work in the bottom, okay, because we're taking this whole, the parentheses right here is important, okay, so we need to do -1 over 5, right, this whole thing, to the -2 power, okay, the negative sticks with the 1. So because of that, now we're going to flip it upside down and square it. So it's going to be -5 squared, which is -25. Now, a lot of you guys might be questioning whether or not this is supposed to be end of parentheses, and it is supposed to be in parentheses. So if you did negative 5 squared equals negative 25, it wouldn't quite be right. Right? What has to happen is, because we have the parentheses on the outside here, we're acting the squared on the whole negative 5. So since the whole negative 5 is getting squared, it's negative 5 times negative 5, which is positive 25. And that's it. Number 4 here, we've got to flip this whole thing upside down. Okay, so we have, we work inside the parentheses first. Alright, so working inside the parentheses, we've got 2 over 1 squared times 5/7. And that whole thing is going to be to the negative second power. So we have to square this, and it's going to be 4, right? When we square this, we're going to get 4. Right? And then multiply the 4 times the 5/7. You're going to get 20 over 7. That whole thing to the negative 2 power. Right? So you need to flip it upside down and square both. So it's going to be 7 squared over 20 squared, which is 49 over 400. Number 5. All right, we're going to move everything. All right, so we've got to flip a lot of stuff upside down. The a and the b need to move up, and the 3a cubed needs to move down. So we have a cubed b cubed over 3a cubed squared. All right, that way we got rid of all of our negative exponents. Now we have to distribute our 2. A cubed b cubed over 9a to the 6th. All right, cancel out as many a's as you can. You're going to have 3 left in the bottom, so it's going to be b to the 3rd over 9a to the 3rd. And the last problem here, we're multiplying again. Okay, so for these multiplying ones, all right, we need to flip everything upside down, get rid of all our negative exponents. We're going to have s squared over r, the first one. And the second one, we're going to have 1 over rs squared to the negative 1. So we need to still flip that upside down. First one can stay the same. The second one becomes rs squared over 1. Alright, multiply straight across. Right, you can multiply and cancel at the same time, so our r's can go away, and you're just left with 4 r's, or 4 s's on the top. So the final answer is s to the 4th. Now, the right using fractions ones we'll take care of in class, so you could start them at home, see if you can figure out a way to do that right without using fractions. Otherwise, we'll get to it in class. Good luck.